I have to call the meeting to order. Commissioner Jenner, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First item on the agenda is to approve our agenda.
Move. Second.
Motion by Denner, second by Gage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. This time we'll open the meeting up for any public comments. Anyone wish to address the commission this morning on any topic that isn't on the agenda? Out there online or on the phone? Seeing none, we'll move on. First reading of the following ordinances. Lynn.
Ordinance 290, an ordinance amending Title 4, Second Revision, Brown County Ordinances amended to rezone certain described properties filed by Brown County Planning and Zoning to go from Ag Preservation District to municipal.
Is there anyone here to speak to ordinance 290? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve.
Move.
Motion by Dinger,
Second.
second by Gage. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Ordinance 291, an ordinance amending Title 4, Second Revision, Brown County Ordinances amended to rezone certain described properties filed by petitioner Northwestern Energy, Robert Gem.
Correct.
Okay. Owners Donald Young and Harlan Young to go from Ag Preservation District to Heavy Industrial District in lots 1 and 3, and rezone lot 2 from multi-zone district to Ag Preservation District.
Is there anyone here to speak to ordinance 291? Anyone wish to comment? Any questions? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve.
Move.
Motion by Gage.
Second.
Second by Dinger. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, Rachel Kipley, Fairgrounds Parks Manager.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. I think you have those 4 contracts. This will finalize the grandstand lineup. So asking your approval on those, and I think in the past you just do all the contracts together.
Anybody have any questions on the 4 contracts that were in the packet?
I'll move them.
We have a motion by Jenner, second by Dinger, to approve the 4 fair contracts. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks for coming in, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right.
Junior Fair Board.
This was in the packet. There were a lot of familiar past fair board and present fair board members. Names on there.
About half of them are returners, so
Very
we've got a
good.
handful of them that have been in the program 3 years, and some of them are graduating this year, so they provide a lot of energy for us, so it's been good. There'll
Some
be
recycled names in there too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep, so 13 of them this year, and would ask your guys' permission, or to go ahead and put them on work comp and do everything they need to do that we've done in the past. We've had them, they all do like different releases, liability, the parents sign off, and they all get an interview. So if you're returning, you don't have to interview a second time, because you've already kind of proven that you can handle the workload and everybody gets along with them. But the new folks have gotten interviewed, so.
Can you give a brief little synopsis of what they do and their roles
Sure.
and stuff?
Yep, so basically we give them the list of committees and they rank them from their interests. So everything from buildings and grounds to free tents to livestock. And so we try to match them with projects that they are interested in. That doesn't always happen, but they're very aware of, most of them want to try new things anyway. So they're working right alongside our fair board members. We use the GroupMe app, and we just let them know every single opportunity there is, every time we have a work day, every time they're getting together for a special project and they're invited to attend. And in the past we've required 50 hours, but this year we're going to change that up just a little bit, because a lot of times 1 hour worth of fence post driving is probably the equivalent of 5 sitting behind a computer sometimes. So it's more so going to just be a yes or no, not so much the hours. So and then we give them a whole list of every activity that they can help us with during Fair Week, and that's immensely helpful, because as you know, we never have enough volunteers for all the slots. So
cool.
Great way to groom future Fair Board members.
That's right.
They were behind the hot dog eating contest.
They were,
and
yep.
everything too, so
They were
brought that in.
the instigators, organizers, and had the idea for our biggest free event out there, so we kinda challenge them each year to pick something that you wanna go after, and they've really excelled at that, so.
Very good. All right, entertain a motion to approve the Junior Fair Board.
Move. Second.
Motion by Dinger, second by Gage. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you. I did send you a couple pictures,
I
there's
just
some
gonna say, I
things
just
going on
noticed.
out there. We're immensely thankful to the highway department. They're hauling gravel out. We're trying to get 2 of those main core roads out in Primitive gravelled and working on some drainage there. They're also getting the site prepped for the new small animal barn, as well as we had some folks come forward willing to help us out with that wash rack that's been a problem for years. When we first did the checking of how much it would cost to redo the entire beef wash rack, it was like $200,000. So what we've done is using those precast concrete blocks to do the wall, and then had some partnerships to do just a chunk of it. It's not gonna be the whole thing, but it's gonna be a huge improvement. So those are the 3 projects we're really tackling right now.
Very good.
That'll be good when that's done.
Yeah,
bet.
yeah, for sure.
Report to-
Any other questions for me?
Nope.
All right,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you, Rachel. Next up, Lynn Hypel Auditor, discuss options for some potential new precincts in Brown County, primarily in Aberdeen.
As you guys know, they were trying to pass legislation to, force us to get rid of vote centers and go back to precincts. So we've been kind of discussing on, options to possibly reduce the number of precincts at least in town. Can I have a bit more back?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So currently in the city of Aberdeen, there are 11 precincts. I didn't make a copy of that one for everybody, but just so you can see. And if we would have to go back to precincts, we'd have to have a spot in each place, polling place in each precinct, which means more workers, more money. So the commission and I have been kind of discussing different options. So I had Scott Madsen with our GIS department go through and do a couple. Option 1, I think, is pretty much out because, as you can see, 3 and 6 have like 0 to 3 people. So he kind of went based off of the census numbers is what he did. So, and option 2 is dividing it by Dakota Street and then Railroad Avenue. But you have a couple of them that are kind of high on the numbers in 1 and 3, so I don't know if that's something you guys would be interested in or not. And then option 3 is very even. This one kind of follows the city council district, so, and that takes us down to 4 instead of 6 on that one. And then option 4 goes down to 6 precincts, but that is pretty much evened out as well. And then, again, it's dividing it kind of like the city does, as far as Railroad Avenue and I think maybe Main. But then we went over a little bit and did another division, so.
When I looked at it, option number 3, to me, you've got about as close as you're gonna get the same number of, population in each district. It's very close. It's more closely aligned with the way the city already divides theirs.
Yeah, that one
I
follows it.
personally really feel 3 would be a good choice, but that's just my thought.
Yeah, and this is just so you guys can see the different options. In order to change anything, we'd have to do up a resolution, but wanted to give you guys options and let you look at them.
My pick from just looking at them would be option 4. I like how, kind of on the north side of town, the precinct 1 on the northwest side follows pretty closely where the current precinct number 3 is. The new precinct number 2 kind of encompasses where the current precincts 1 and 2 are, and then 3 covers most of where precinct 7 is now. And then on the south side of town, precinct 6 covers where the current precinct 6 is, plus precinct 11, or most of precinct 11. And then precinct 5 in the south central side of town picks up like 3 real small precincts that we have now, and then 4 picks up precincts 8 and 9. So I do like how it reduces it, you know, and does some consolidation, but kind of keeps the current lines that we have moderately close to. So I mean, I would kind of choose 4 myself would be my pick of the maps there.
Other thoughts? Anybody in the audience have any thoughts on recommendations? Morning, Rich.
Want me to come up here?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, I'm Rich Hilgeman, Chairman of the Round County Republicans. Just kind of looking at it if you were forced to choose one, I would choose number 4, but otherwise, I mean, our current precincts I don't have a problem with. But yeah, if you were to choose one, 4 definitely looks like the best option. Yeah. Otherwise, if this is, you said was in response to a bill that didn't pass?
Correct, at this time.
Okay. Yeah. What do
I
you-
know that they're gonna continue to try to.
Yeah. What, do you remember, do you guys remember what bill that was at all? Or where it was?
Where did I vote?
Where did it die? I don't know, where did it die? Yeah.
It
was a bill with numbers on it.
Yeah, was it HB or SB?
I know.
Did it make that
Your
committee?
Yes, it did,
Did it?
because
Okay,
it
that's
went to
fine,
the floor, so.
Okay.
Carl, do you remember that? It was Senator Pischke had introduced that, and it died on the floor.
Yeah. Seems
Oh, so
like
did they get to the
1132 or 1180, one or the other. I don't have my computer with me, so I can't tell you.
So it was the Senate bill? Okay. And it was Pischke?
Yes.
You gonna make a phone call or what? No.
Is number 1 the current precinct? Or
Here,
not?
I did bring a map of the current precincts.
Oh, okay.
So there's currently
Okay.
11
Oh,
in town,
okay.
and that would bring us down to 6, and that's also, you know, elected precinct committee men and women would also be affected, that's why I'm here. So, I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that would obviously drastically reduce the precinct committee men and women and the number of positions
I know we talked
that
about
represent the
eight,
city.
Right.
It wasn't,
I guess just a couple thoughts that I have on it, looking at just on the precinct committee men and committee women side of things. I think it's important that we do try to make a couple changes so that our precincts are more evenly distributed by population. Because I know right now there's some precincts that are huge. Couple one on the northeast side of town, one on the southeast side of town are huge, and then there's a couple kind of on the southwest and south central side of town that are very small. So just trying to get them more evenly distributed by population, I think would be good. And I think 11 is plenty. I think 4 personally is probably less than I would be okay with, but I do think there's some room for improvement for sure, because, you know, a couple of those precincts are very sparsely inhabited right now.
And there's certainly a couple precincts that, I mean, I know I've been doing this for 10 years now, that have always either had trouble filling or, you know, stuff down by Northern, because you get a bunch of college students living in that area that aren't necessarily voting and taking place, you know, participating in this end of it, so it's always tough to find people that are, you know, voters willing to do that kind of stuff for the precinct position in something like that 5 and 10 area there. But otherwise, we don't have a problem filling all the other precinct positions.
Go ahead,
Quick
Mike.
question, I don't know, one of you guys, I think you mentioned this before or whatever, but just to make sure, the number of precinct men and women and the votes they have, if we went to 4, let's just say we go to 4 or 6, either one, they still represent the same vote total, it's
Same
just
vote weighting.
less people making those votes then, correct?
Yep.
Like if there's 20 total votes now, and you went to 4, they're still gonna,
Oh, yeah.
they're casting more votes with each one of them. Okay.
Yeah, the
So
weight
you
of
don't
the
lose
county
any
still,
voting
the
power.
weight of the county is still the weight of the county, and that's not
Yeah.
gonna change.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions?
I guess I'll just say, me personally, I know what this is in going towards as far as going away from voting centers and going back to precincts, and if we're doing that, I mean, to be honest, the only one I think we could actually make work is number 3 with 4 of them, because you don't have a place to vote in 2. So honestly, I can't see why we'd go to 6, because I don't know where you're gonna put that, where you're gonna even have a precinct voting center in that area, in that little spot. I like 4, it simplifies it, it's pretty even across the board. You're not losing any county power as far as that, but that's just my opinion on it, I guess.
3 or 4.
Number 3, 4 centers, I'm sorry, I'll clarify. Set the option number 3 with 4, yes, there you go.
Go ahead, Carl.
The final vote for the voting center in the Senate was do pass 13 and 22 were nays, so it did not get a resounding, exciting vote. So there's a lot of good arguments to keep it the way we do it. One of the things that Rich mentioned about the number of precincts, reducing the number of precincts is not good for, you know, like the Democrat Party or the Republican Party, because that gives you less strength. You know, we're kind of the small part of the state anyway, and reducing the number of votes that we have on anything doesn't help us. So, you know, the more precincts we have, the better off we are. So,
One of the biggest challenges we have is finding a place to house the polling center.
we like it the way it is with the centers the way they are. We argued for that,
Right.
and we won with it. So,
Yep.
and
And we're in support of the voting centers too, but if there was a chance of it going away, we wanted to kind of be ready to, how we would handle that if they were successful. Kind of like Lynn stated, I don't think they're probably through trying to attack that system, so.
well, we're not going to agree with absolutely everything the county says, but it is really helpful when we have your auditors send a note saying, this is the reason we would be for this, these are the reasons why it would be a problem. That makes it easier for us to determine what's really good for Brown County. And the rest of the state's really important too, but we like to, our territory happens to be in Brown County and happens to be in the Aberdeen area, so we want to do all we can to make sure that what you need is taken care of, so.
If I may make a
Brandy?
comment, if we would go back to, or if we would go to just 4 precincts, I do like the clean lines of number 2. You know, if I'm understanding it right, down, is it Dakota, and is it Dakota or is it state?
That also blurs the lines of the city council races, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just, because when people ask, where do I go vote, it's like, you know, there's that little section over by the post office that you don't know if you're in District 23 or 3, and then you're like, well, I'm not sure which precinct, but gotcha. Okay, you don't want to mess
A
with
little bit,
them.
yeah.
I would also agree with Carl in that the current system's working fine, and I don't think there's, as you know, the legislative process is very difficult. It's got to go through 2 committees, a House, a Senate, and a governor. So I don't think the odds of this becoming law are high enough to have you guys make changes. Just keep doing what you're doing.
If they would pass law, we would be able to enact this fairly quickly if we needed to make a change, right? I mean, a Tuesday meeting and we could change the precincts up.
Got to be at least 100 days before the general election.
Okay.
Question for you.
Yep.
I was just looking at a couple of these now, I was looking at option number 4, which, like I said, was kind of the one that I liked the best of them. Would the precinct have to be geographically located in, or the voting location be inside? 'Cause I'm just wondering, like, would it work if, like, precinct 2 and 5 both voted at the courthouse, would that be an option under this map? Or?
That'd be a vote center,
Yep.
and that's, you know what I
Because,
mean?
I just know there's some, okay, so like, I know some friends in different counties that use precincts, and they have like one location with like 2 precincts within that same location. So I know that that's been done in the past.
Yeah, well, like in Beetle County, I know they have all of theirs at the gym.
Oh,
All of
okay.
theirs are at the gym.
Oh, wow.
But again, it's kind of like a vote center because
Mhm.
technically by law, if it's by precinct, you're supposed to have it in that precinct.
Okay. That's what I was just curious. I see like the courthouse would be right on the edge of 2, and I think it'd be number 5 there, but it'd be very, very close. Just, I was curious, I wasn't sure.
That's a very blurry law, though.
I know.
You know, the fact, you know, the only person that can vote for a precinct is somebody that lives in that precinct. But the law really doesn't say the person that lives in that precinct has to vote in that precinct. They have to live in that precinct. And so, the vote centers do work for what we're doing based upon, you know, what it is what we're doing, you know, so, you know, I think we're okay.
And what you just said describes about half the laws on the book.
Well, one of the things that we do is we create 200 new laws every year, and we forget to take laws off. We have a lot of stuff out there that's just...
Yeah, because the canvassing group brought, what, 35, 38 election bills this year that they were trying to change everything back to the way, so...
I do like that we're not changing anything outside of town because you have, you know, your
Yeah.
Stratfords and Fredericks and Heclas, and I think
Right.
there's a lot of people who, you know, and a lot of maybe older people who might live within that community that are willing to drive, you know, 4 or 5 blocks, but probably, you know, say if there was no precinct in Stratford, they may or may not drive to Warner, so obviously
Yeah.
we,
The only one that closed a few years ago when we went to vote centers was the one in Bath.
okay,
They have one at
yeah,
Northern Electric,
Yep.
so they had, figured American was close enough that they could come into that.
that makes sense. We want to make sure that turnout can be as high as possible and that
Yeah.
voting is simple for people and facilitate that, so I like that we're not making any changes out
I
there.
do like the way it's set up, because I got 100% of the votes in Stratford. There was 3 people that voted, and I got all 3, so I thought it was a pretty exciting night.
I got that.
Did you do that too?
Not this election, last one.
It's an achievement.
You bet.
100% of the voters.
Yeah, and like I said, we don't have to decide today because we'd have to do a resolution anyway, but these were just some options that I wanted to present to you guys, and you guys can take some time to look them over and...
Sure. Appreciate it. It's good information. All right, anything else on that? Any other questions? Rich, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your input, everyone. Next up, consent calendar. Lynn?
Approval of the general meeting minutes of March 11th.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Dinger, second by Gage. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claims,
Move.
Motion by Gage.
Second.
Second by Dennert. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
HR reports.
Move.
Motion by Gage. Second by Dinger. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Travel requests,
Move.
Motion by Dennert. Second by Dinger. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
claim assignment,
Move.
Motion by Gage. Second by Dinger. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
lease agreement,
Move.
Motion by Dennert. Second by Dinger. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any other business to come before the Brown County Commission this morning? Morning, Carl.
Good morning. I'll just share a minute with you. First of all, compliment the representatives for coming out with a tremendous bill, which was 1052, and gave eminent domain for carbon oxide, and that bill went through the House in good fashion, came over to the Senate, and it also won there, and it was signed by the governor, so this was a major step for the things that we want to have done in this area, and taking care of the property rights for landowners, and it really kind of indirectly said, you know, that we need to keep local control local, and so I think that we have some things to celebrate. 1052 is one of those things, and we get a lot of things that aren't important, maybe, to some people, but this one here was important to all the people in Brown County in this area, so I just thought that we should say that we've done a good job this time. We did the right thing. We made the people's voice heard, so. And the governor signed it within 24 hours, so that was another miracle, and things are good.
You bet.
Thanks.
Welcome home.
You bet. And talking about legislation, I serve on the statewide 911 coordination board, and on behalf of the coordination board, I want to thank all the legislators for your overwhelming support of Senate Bill 37 that eliminated the sunset on the 911 surcharge. I think it went through the whole system with 3 no votes in committee, but the support was very much appreciated, and now counties have really a more clearly defined path that they know they can follow with guaranteed secure funding. So thank you to all of you. And if you're ever open to touring the R911 call center, we'd sure love to show you how efficiently we operate over there. So thank you.
We've actually toured your jail system before, and they locked Brandy up in one of the chairs, and it was exciting. They put Al in a paddy wagon, and they couldn't get the door open, and we thought that was kind of exciting too. So we're willing to take tours with you, especially if you use those guys as a
All right. Al?
Taser demonstration.
Well, without a doubt, obviously 1052 is a big deal with the eminent domain. Also a big deal was we fully funded the restoration of Richmond Dam.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important, as that was, out of the 97 dams in South Dakota, it was rated the highest priority as a high hazard dam, which means it's potential loss of life, potential loss of property. So that's one fairly significant accomplishment for Brown County. The other interesting thing is 30, 40 years ago, we used to deliver the general bill, the appropriations, on day 40, late at night, and maybe cover the clock. What we've done this year, which was the first time in history, was we delivered the appropriation bill on day 35, and it was 2 days before we adjourned. And so everybody, you hear about Washington D.C., they pass it, they produce a bill, and then they pass it within minutes or hours and nobody has a chance to read it. So basically, we had 48 hours from the time we produced the final general bill until we actually voted on it. So I think that was a good accomplishment. Thank you.
Al wanted to tell you also about Northern getting M&R. Go ahead and tell them.
That was thank you, Carl.
That's all right. I'll tee you up.
One of the last decisions was to allocate approximately, one of the first decisions before we got there was the executive branch's budget was to cut the maintenance and repair of state-owned buildings. And when I say state-owned building, that's code word for campuses, more or less. And so we were going to cut that in half to make the budget work. That was the original executive branch proposal. Towards the very end, one of the last decisions was we allocated, I believe it was $11 million extra for to make the maintenance and repair what we thought was the appropriate amount. And so that was very, very good for Northern to get that extra money to take care of our buildings. So.
Can we give you one more? South Dakota Public Broadcasting was going to be cut out completely as far as our funding, and we were able to put that funding back in. When Al was a senator, he said they tried to do that probably 10 years ago, and he says 50,000 people said it wasn't a good idea. And you know what? Those same 50,000 people are still around because they didn't think that was a good idea either. So we were able to refund that, and that went good. And Brandy didn't brag about what she's done, but she had a couple bills that went through, and they were really good. So this has been a real successful year for us. So.
You bet. Any more attaboys? Hearing other comment?
Good morning.
Morning.
Carson Stange from Stratford. I guess I'm here this morning. I was curious about your guys' drain tile regulations.
Scott, Scott Bader over there is our planning and zoning director. He'd probably answer any questions you have.
Okay, because I believe it's up to the county, right, to regulate that.
In Brown County, we do not permit the
Okay.
drain tile.
Yep. And I guess my question is, are you guys all in agreement that there shouldn't be any regulation on it?
I think the fact that we don't have anything on the books is a pretty clear indication that we feel leave it up to the landowner.
That was agreed by the commission, on not permitting that.
Okay. Okay, I guess I'd encourage you guys, if you don't think there should be regulation on it, I'd like there to be some conversation and invite you guys out to my place, and I'd like to talk to you guys about why there should be some regulations. And, because I think if we, the downstream landowners they have rights too, and leaving it unregulated, I think violates some rights to protect your ground, protect your property, and, so, yeah, I guess I'd just like some conversation and some consideration. I know to regulate it, it's a big task. I've kind of looked into some of it and how other counties are handling it. I know it's not cheap, it's not easy, but,
Can you just leave me your cell number, please?
yeah, yep. So,
Yeah, and if you have any, excuse me, specific ideas or suggestions or whatever, maybe meet with Scott and start there, and if he thinks they're good viable suggestions, he can pursue them or not and bring them to us, but at this point, they are unregulated, so.
yeah.
All right?
Thank you
Thanks
guys.
for coming in.
You bet.
Have a good day. Anything else to come before the Brown County Commission this morning? Rachel?
One more informal thing, I don't think it requires action, but wanted to get your guys' thoughts. We've been talking about doing a campground host volunteer spot, similar to the state parks, where you allow a person to stay for free, and then in exchange, they kind of check in campers, check the bathroom on the weekend, do things like that. Wondering if there's any reasons you guys see why we couldn't kind of copy what they're doing out at our fairgrounds camping.
I know it works well in the state parks that I've visited, and it's a nice position to have somebody there to answer questions or take care of issues if they might come up. So I would think it would be
Just one or a whole bunch?
No, we would probably just need one if they
Okay.
were staying all summer, but if they leave, then
Oh.
we need a new one.
You're not just talking about the week of the fair?
No, I'm talking our
Okay.
regular, we're
Yeah.
hoping to
Okay,
open
that
up,
makes more sense.
if this weather holds, we've got people already calling with a lot of the economic development up in Ellendale and stuff, people are looking for long-term camping, and we'd love to take advantage of that. So if we can and the weather holds, we'd probably start opening up into April here, but I just kind of thought that would be a real nice addition to.
Sure.
All right, if nobody's opposed, we'll kind of get after it, do some research, and get something put together.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else, we've had a request to go into executive session for personnel, contracts, and legal.
Let me grab my.
Entertain a motion to that effect. Motion by Gage, second by Dennert, to go into executive session. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, we're back in session, out of exec with no action as a result. Is there anything else to come before the Brown County Commission this morning? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Gage, second by Dennert. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.